Welcome. It's good to see some names popping up on the screen and some faces starting to pop up today. I am very excited to go through and learn how we can leverage our member benefits here at Nonprofit Connect. So I hope everyone has a good lunch in front of them, or like me, had a lunch early, or has good lunch plans in general. Sydney's on the water diet today, it looks like.
Yeah.
But it's great to see everyone connecting. I know we have a few more who are just popping in from the waiting room, so we'll wait till everybody kind of gets settled. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Emily, and I am the Director of Learning here at Nonprofit Connect. And as the Director of Learning, it's my job to host webinars and in-person trainings and all of our on-demand resources. So if there's ever a training or resource that you're looking for, I am so happy to help you out with that. And we have two other Nonprofit Connect staff members on the line today, and I'll wait to introduce them for just 1 minute to see if anybody else joins us. But again, I'm Emily with Nonprofit Connect, and for today's webinar, you'll notice that your line is muted. So we're going to be a smaller group. So if you have questions, you're welcome to unmute yourself and just ask the questions. We want this to be conversational, but also I know some people prefer to put questions directly into the chat. So that's another opportunity we have today. And let's go ahead and take a moment and just say hello in the chat. So I'll go ahead and say hello. This is Emily with Nonprofit Connect. So that way you can find where the chat is, we can keep this lively and engaging. And I know we've got Sydney Smith is here. He's going to be leading us through today's session. But I do encourage you to go ahead, take a moment, say who you are and where you're coming from. Oh, this is great. I see we've got Megan here with Heartstrings Community Foundation. Devi, is it Devi or Devay? Now I'm like putting you on the spot. But I'm glad that you're here. Devi, got it. Thank you for spelling it for me. We've got Melinda is here with United We. That's awesome. We've got Ashley with Gilda's Club, Casey. Excellent. So we're going to have a really good group today. I really appreciate everybody for joining us. So that's kind of the first webinar housekeeping piece, is that you are muted, but definitely feel free to unmute. Feel free to share questions in the chat. I'll be kind of monitoring the chat throughout to make sure that we really tailor this to you guys, right? We are a membership organization. We're here for you. So if you take nothing else away from today's session, I want you to know that literally it's our job to help you find the resources you need, the connections you need. So let us know what you need and we'll do our best to deliver. The other piece of webinar housekeeping is that you'll notice we are recording today's session. So I'll share out the recording of this session and a few other goodies around this time tomorrow morning. Finally, you might see something in your Zoom screen that says live streaming at the top. We're not actually live streaming this session, but we use a third-party platform that provides closed captioning services. So if you are someone who likes to read the closed captions as we go through, that's an option that is available to you. So that kind of covers our webinar housekeeping. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing screen and give us a moment to kind of see one another and introduce one another. And I just want to welcome the two other Nonprofit Connect folks that we have here today, Sydney Smith and Amy. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Emily. I am Sydney Smith. I serve as the Chief Operating Officer here at Nonprofit Connect. Thank you so much for taking some time with us today. We'll be very respectful of your time. So we'll get us out of here promptly at 1, but just wanted to thank you for taking the time to invest in your membership. And we're going to show you some of the very cool benefits that you have.
And I'm Amy Fennessy. I'm actually new at Nonprofit Connect. I am the new Director of Membership. So it's going to be my job to help you. So at any point, if there's any questions that you have about your membership, I'm doing my best to get up to speed on all the different things that we offer our members. And today is my first orientation also. So I'm in a learning mode with you all. And together we will find out all the wonderful different things that Nonprofit Connect can help with you and the community as a whole.
Awesome, awesome. I love it. Well, let me go ahead and kick us off. Emily, I know we have a couple polls that we wanted to get out there. Do we want to do that now, or do we want to wait for that a little bit?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get those
Do it
out there,
now.
right? So you know us, and we want to know you a little bit. We want to know a little bit about who is in the audience today. So you should be seeing a poll on your screen, and there are two questions there. We want to know what type users we have present. Are you the primary account? Are you the billing account or the representative account? There may be some of you who you're not even sure what any of this means. So I should have put a I'm not sure question or option on that poll. I'm sorry I didn't. And then if you scroll down, you'll notice that the second question just has check boxes of what are some of the benefits that you're planning on using, and you can select those, and then so you'll have to like scroll clear to the bottom, and then you can submit your poll. So it looks like I've got about 8 responses, so I'll give you just, I know there's a lot of options to read through, so I'll give you just a few moments to take a nice deep breath and answer the poll.
Absolutely.
All right, and I'll go ahead and close the poll in about 3, 2, 1. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, about half of the users here today are primary account holders. That's fantastic. And about the other half are representative accounts. And so every organization has one primary account holder. That is the person who has the power. There's also someone who can be designated as the billing account, but you don't have to have that person. And everybody else at the organization is a representative. So if you take something away from today, I want you to know that all of your staff and all of your board members can have representative logins. So I think that's a really important thing. We'll repeat that a couple of times. So it's good to know kind of who we have here today. And then Sydney, what are you seeing with the benefit trends?
Well, I love that, I think what's very fitting on a Giving Tuesday, promoting events on the community calendar comes in first place. So I think sharing the word out is big. It looks like a lot of people are interested in, the common things, right? Searching for funding, getting access to our programs to help do that professional development and that training. And so surprising that only about a third of us are here about posting on the job board. With as tight as the labor market has been, that's typically been higher in previous quarters. And so that's an interesting kind of development for this fourth quarter of this year.
Yeah, so it's great to know. Thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself. So we know as we're going through this tour and orientation that maybe we don't want to dig into the job board as much, but you want to check out the community events calendar a little bit more. I also
Absolutely.
noticed there were a couple of people who said something else. So I would invite you, if there's something particular that you'd love to use or learn more about now or at any point in today's presentation, drop it into the chat to make sure that we get it covered in the next hour.
Yeah. All right, well, very good. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. Emily, you good?
Yeah.
All right. So first and foremost, again, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We know that you are very busy. I don't think there's a person in the nonprofit sector that isn't extremely busy. So, some of you are taking this time over lunch. I certainly appreciate you allowing us to kind of intrude into your day a little bit, but we really hope that the return on investment of this time would be more than beneficial than you may having myself, Emily, and Amy on your screen over lunch. So first and foremost, I always like to do kind of an overview, a history of Nonprofit Connect. Many know us as a resource here in the nonprofit community, but I don't know that many understand how long we've been in the sector. We are approaching our 50th year anniversary. Nonprofit Connect was started as the Council of Philanthropy back in 1976. And so it is just impressive to see how something so small as a small group of individuals looking to make sure that they stayed abreast of things as it relates to funding and the nonprofit sector as a whole has grown into what we are today. We're 800 plus members strong. many of you individuals, all of you individuals being a part of that 800 and so organizations. And so we represent thousands of nonprofit professionals, not just locally and regionally, but nationally. And so we just thank you for taking the time. So I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of overview, but without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into our presentation. So what we want to do is we're going to be at the Nonprofit Connect homepage, as you see right here, npconnect.org. If you're ever needing to get to us, feel free to bookmark that. Usually stuff that I have bookmarked, I get to on a pretty regular basis. So you have the homepage here, and we want to go to what we call the Member Information Center. So we want to go to Member Login. We're going to click that button. And what it's going to allow us to do is enter our username and password. So for those of you that set up your own usernames and passwords, this will be where you enter it at. You could come to this page, and if you forgot your username and password for some reason, we have a link here. So feel free to use that, and we'll be able to get you reset. But otherwise, Emily, why don't you go ahead and log us in, and we are going to take you to what is now our Member Information Center. So we call this the back end of the database. This is where all the goodies are at. This is what you pay for. This isn't available to the public, but we want to show you exactly all the benefits that you have. So you'll see main navigation is going to be on your left-hand taskbar, as well as the upper taskbar. So we're going to go through both of those areas, but we're going to start on the left-hand side. And I want to start with your personal information. So personal information is going to be information about you specifically as a representative. Okay, so as we see here, we're seeing all of Emily's personal information, her title, her contact information, all of the things that she likes to be her preferred preference when it comes to work or email. Those sorts of things are contained here within. You can see that the address of the organization she with needs to be updated because we moved a few months ago. So we're now 1703 Wyandotte. If you haven't had an opportunity to come by, we'll show you our events calendar. We have an incredible holiday party happening tomorrow afternoon. Actually late tomorrow afternoon, early evening, 5 to 7. So we'll go through that. We'll let you take a look at that. But so this is kind of where all of your personal information is. Now, what I wanted to point out is that we have different permissions. So much like we talked about in the poll, we have primary account holders, we have billing account holders, and we have representative accounts. So some of this stuff that you see in your view may be grayed out. If it's grayed out, it's simply because that's likely a primary account holder function and accessibility, and you don't have that. So don't think that somehow, some way that your login is broke. It just probably has to do with the permissions that you have in your individual account. So have all this information here. You can put in a bio, a picture, all of those things. In many ways, this is like a social media being able to have your, who wants the egg, right? You want to have the picture, right? You don't want the Twitter egg, you want the picture. So, so these are kind of some of the things that you will be able to do in this area. So as you will go through, make your changes, save changes, and that will be there. So all of these other areas are things that you can add in, links to your social media, but I want to go to groups and interests, Emily, because this is where you will be able to determine which mailing list you're a part of, okay? So there's going to be things that may be specific to your job, right? So if advocacy is something that's important, we want to make sure that you're on those mailing lists. So whenever we have anything advocacy related, that you receive those types of alerts. Fundraising, grant writing, marketing communications, volunteer management, all things that you could have access to that will come to your inbox. But I tell you what, Emily, the one thing that I really encourage everybody to have clicked is the Link newsletter. The Link newsletter is a weekly newsletter that comes to your inbox, typically on Tuesday mornings. And what it does is it offers a great synopsis, a great summary of all the things that are happening in the sector. So we talk a little bit about the latest nonprofit news, talk about upcoming programs, upcoming jobs that are hot on the job board. All of those things are kind of compiled in a nice tidy package that we call the Link. and it comes out on Tuesday mornings. And so for somebody who's extremely busy, being able to have that as just a nice reminder, I know every Tuesday it's going to hit my inbox. I'm able to take a quick browse, and from there, I'm able to determine what I might want to dig into a little bit more. It also serves as a great reminder too on some things. If you're trying to, do some grant applications and those things, all those sorts of things are kind of included in the link newsletter. So I encourage everybody to have that clicked, and then these other areas just according to your interest levels and maybe your job responsibilities. All right. The last thing I want to talk about on this is the additional information tab. So can you go to that one? What this does is that is not what I was expecting there. So we're going to not worry about this additional information tab. I might be thinking about company. So let's go to the company tab. Company tab is going to be about the organization. So the organization is going to be the nonprofit organization. For some of you, you might be representing a business, but this is where all of the company information lives. What this also is how other organizations and the public at large views you. So it's important that you have all of this information as filled out as you possibly can, because sometimes funders are looking through our member directory. And so being able to have as much information, description, pictures, logos, videos, all the things that would tell about your organization to somebody that's visiting you in a virtual format, you will have that here on the company page.
Yeah, Sydney, I think that's
Yeah.
so important what you're pointing out. And I just want to flip. So this is the back end of the website in the Member Information Center. So this is where you add those logos, those photos, those videos. And then on the front public facing side of our website, this is what it looks like. So you can see there's Nonprofit Connect's page. You can find our map of where we are. We've got some about us information. We've got some highlights you can link to, some videos, some images. It's a really compelling looking page. And this is publicly available to anyone from our member directory. And I will tell you that especially on days like today, people use the member directory to figure out who they're going to donate to, right? They might say, oh, I am really interested in arts organizations. So they might just come and search all the arts organizations, or maybe someone is really interested in veterans, right? And this is how they can search for different veteran serving or veteran focused organizations. And you can just see when there are logos there, when it's more filled out, it's a little more compelling, it's a little more visual. That might catch somebody's eye if they're looking for a place to volunteer or a place to donate. So this is what it looks like on the front end of the website. And then here on the back end is where you get to plug in this information.
I love that. Thank you so much, Emily. Yeah, and once again, this is a way in which others find you, right? And so I know when I go do a Google search and I'm looking for an organization, if I come across a page that, the information isn't filled out, sometimes that subconsciously plays into my my credibility that I believe that organization has. And so we always try to just push this. It typically takes a handful of minutes for you to fill it out as much as you can. You can work over it over time, but just continue to build up that profile as much as you can, and it definitely pays dividends in the long run. Emily, if you could, I want to go to employees, because employees would be, as you mentioned in your intro, every organization has access to all of their employees and their board members. And so it's really important for you to know how you will go about adding a new person, with it being as short-staffed as it is across various sectors, but we're talking about the nonprofit community. Being able to add individuals in is a way for you to be able to ensure that they have access to the resources that the organization has as a whole. So as you can see, as we're scrolling down this page, you'll see in that third column, you see a lot of no's, and then you'll see one yes. Well, that's because Luann Feehan, our CEO, is our primary account holder, and everybody else is not a primary account holder. So if you ever wonder, like, hey, I want to be able to update this or change this on the website, but it's grayed out for me, who is the primary that we need to talk to? Well, you yourself can go to employees and see, oh, okay, the primary is Luann Feehan. I need to talk to her to see if I can get access to the things that I need to have access to. So this is a very cool thing there. And so from there, I think if we was to add an employee, you click that button, Emily, just all the basic information that you would have, right? So name, contact information, but what's most important on this page would be making sure that the email address is entered, right? So why is that important? Is because we can add a new rep into your profile, but we want to be able to get them access to this member information center that we're going through. And the only way we're able to do that is by clicking that checkbox at the bottom, email an invitation, but we can't email an invitation without an email address. And so that's why having the basic information, name, and at the very least, the email address is so important. That way, when you save that information, it automatically sends an email to that individual to set up their own unique username and password.
Exactly.
All right.
And just to echo, in case you have any staff people now who don't have a login, you can always go in and add them and just check that button. And same with your board. Or if you have questions, you can definitely email us at info@npconnect.org.
Good stuff. All right, we're going to take a quick look at billing, because billing, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time here, but for those individuals, I know that we don't have any billing contacts, but we have a lot of primary contacts. And so when there's things that you want to register for, programs or an event, or maybe even doing job postings, well, some of those things have costs associated with them. And if they do, then you're able to save a payment profile here. We at Nonprofit Connect, we don't save your credit card information. So that's something that if you want to have, you know, if I go to Amazon.com, they have all my information through my Google Pay account, right? It just makes the checkout process that much quicker and easier. This too has the ability for you to be able to save your payment information in there. And so as you're registering for events, as you're posting jobs, as you're attending programs and you're registering for those, your payment information is saved in here should you choose. Another thing I want to talk about is the transaction history. So sometimes those of us that are primary account holders may be the heads of our organizations, and we need to reconcile the books at the end of the month. So this is an easy way for you to be able to go in, enter a date range, find out exactly what's been spent, especially if you have multiple users. Sometimes you may not know that 2 or 3 individuals, you know, from a various department, depending on how big your Nonprofit Connect, your nonprofit organization is, you might not know that they set up a registration for a particular program. And so being able to go in, see your account activity is something that you can do here as well. All right. So we're making good time. So we've talked about how to set up your personal information, how to set up the company information, and how to save payment information should you choose. Now I want to go to member benefits. And so I want to go back to the home page, and I want to go down to the left-hand side to the first option we have under member benefits, which is your program calendar. So I remember from the poll that a lot of you are looking to be able to add events. Well, these are some of the things that we hold here at Nonprofit Connect, our programs to you, and then we'll show you how to add your own events coming up. But as you can see right now, we are attending how to leverage your member benefits. That is happening right now. As we talked about at the beginning, we have our holiday celebration. So that too will be coming up tomorrow afternoon. So please feel free to register should you choose. It's going to be a great time, great opportunity to connect with other nonprofit organizations and professionals, and definitely just a way for us to be able to show our thanks, gratitude, and appreciation for everything that you guys do in our incredible communities out there. And so just a way for you to be able to come in, socialize, have a drink, have some hors d'oeuvres, and be able to just connect with other professionals. Emily, I know that you are setting up 2023's calendar. Is there something that's coming up that's kind of catching your eye?
There is, Sydney. I am really excited. On Thursday, January 19th, we are going to welcome Dr. Nicole Price, who is a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant, author, speaker, hilarious human being, and she's been a longtime friend of Nonprofit Connect. She is going to do a big kind of January kickoff for us this year at the Kauffman Conference Center, and that is taking place on Thursday, January 19th. where Dr. Nicole Price will share some of the upcoming tips and a sneak peek of her new book that's coming out in April. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I encourage you, if you've heard Dr. Nicole Price speak before, you will want to hear her talk again. And it's just a really nice way to reinvigorate your teams and get refreshed for the new year. So this is what I'm really excited about for January coming up. But you'll see as I add other things in 2023, those trainings and learning opportunities will all be here.
Awesome. I love that. See, I learned that myself. I'm glad I'm attending this and also kind of facilitating, but love Dr. Nicole Price. If you have the availability on your calendar for you and your team to come, I'm telling you, she is such a dynamic speaker. If you haven't had an opportunity to see her work, she really is a national treasure located right here in Kansas City. So certainly encourage that. Good job, Emily, getting that secured. Very good stuff. I lead a BIPOC roundtable. So, as we go through, the lens of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, this was something that our members asked for. And so that's something that I lead quarterly. We have that coming up in person here in a couple of weeks. And so I definitely encourage any individuals that identify as a BIPOC individual, which would be Black, Indigenous, or a person of color. We definitely encourage you to come connect with other BIPOC professionals and be able to just socialize. And we're going to talk about what we're going to have on the slate for 2023. So encourage that. Now you'll see something different, right? So the one next to it, Executive Director Institute, you do not see a register button for that. And that is because that is a separate application process. And so that there isn't anything broken with that. But that's something that if it's of interest, is for executive directors only. But if that's something is of interest, I know that deadline is this Friday. So definitely encourage anyone. That's how I first got connected to Nonprofit Connect, was the executive director of a nonprofit nursing home here in Kansas City, and needing to sharpen the skill set a little bit. And so Executive Director Institute was how I first got my foray into Nonprofit Connect, and I haven't looked back ever since. All right. Thank you, Emily. All right, so we've kind of talked about the programs calendar, but what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that was also of interest in the poll, which was fundraising. And so when we go down and we take a look at Foundation Directory and Grant Station, those are two things that I want to spend just a little bit of time about. Absolutely robust membership benefits. And so let's click on Foundation Directory, Emily. All right. So as you can see, we're in Foundation Directory. It's a single sign-on. What does that mean, Sydney? Well, single sign-on means that you already logged into your Member Information Center with your username and password. So now all you have to do is click those links and they automatically take you and sign you into Foundation Directory as well as Grant Station. As you can see from the web address, Foundation Directory is through accessphilanthropy.com. So it is not a Nonprofit Connect product, it is an Access Philanthropy product, but it is extremely robust, incredibly powerful, and something that really should take your fundraising either personally or organization-wide to the next level. Emily, how about we take a look at Kansas City All Local Funders? So if we click that link, it is going to bring up all of the organizations that fund in the Kansas City metropolitan area. So you're going to see various charitable trusts and foundations, corporate and private foundations, all of the organizations that fund organizations, nonprofit organizations here in Kansas City is listed in this list. But what I want to do is I want to click one of those. You pick one, Emily. Okay, we do Ace Hardware Foundation. Okay, yeah. Cool. And so what this does is it gives you an in-depth knowledge about this particular funder. Okay, so what we see here is that Ace Hardware Foundation is a corporate foundation. So we see that under funder types. We see their EIN number, their federal ID number. So for those that need to, report on those things, you'll have that information. All of their contact information, so address, their general phone number, and links to their websites on the specific foundation that we're talking about. So as we scroll down a little further, you're going to see fields of interest for the Ace Hardware Foundation. You're going to see that they fund areas when it comes to children and youth, disaster relief, hospitals, infants and children and pediatrics, and the American Red Cross. You'll see that they don't have an age stipulation, so they fund all children and youth, all ages, and they fund people affected by natural disasters, which makes sense, right? A hardware store in a natural disaster, it makes sense that they would fund those type of relief efforts. So as you can see, you keep on scrolling down, you just have a lot more really good information. It's going to tell you about some of the grant programs that they oversee for the American Red Cross and the Children's Network, and where they give. So it looks like they give in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. So we see the Missouri and Kansas for our local people that are attending. You'll see that that's there. And if you continue to scroll down, this is what I find to be, I love this part of Access Philanthropy's Foundation Directory. So it's going to tell you about their grant range and their average grant range. So if you can see, they have granted, because they have to report on this, they've granted grants, they've offered grants in the $5,000 to just shy of $10 million range. It's quite the range. But the average grant range that they give on a regular basis is $10,000 to $150,000. And so I think having that type of information is critical, because guess what? If you're a small organization, you might not think to ask for $5,000. You might ask for $2,000 or $2,500, and then wonder, well, why didn't Ace Hardware Foundation fund my request? Well, one of the reasons may be because they don't grant anything less than $5,000. And so that's just a really cool piece that I find, as somebody who's ran a nonprofit organization, having that level of detail. But I know Emily has kind of served as a grant writer in her past life. So Emily, is there anything else on here that kind of stands out to you?
Yeah, I think you really hit it, Sydney. What is so useful about this Foundation Directory tool is it gives you a lot of information about the funder. So you can see if what you're requesting is in line with what they've typically given, and really make sure that they're the right fit for you. And for me, I always like to use Foundation Directory in conjunction with GrantStation.
Okay.
So if it's okay, Sydney, I might go ahead and open this one up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as that one's loading, I'll let you know for both of these resources. Every year, we do have the team from Access Philanthropy come and give an hour tutorial of how to really best utilize this database, right? Because just like Nonprofit Connect benefits, you got to know how to use them to really maximize it. Same thing with the Foundation Directory and with GrantStation. So tomorrow, when I share the recording of today's session, I'll also share those past recordings of our Foundation Directory tour. If you're looking at this and you're like, this is just what I need, I want to go deeper. Or if you have a board member who wants to get more involved in fundraising and they would love to sit at home and kind of dig through some of these databases, that's a great person to mobilize to help in your fundraising efforts. So I'll definitely share the tour and the tutorial of how to use Foundation Directory and GrantStation, which are both part of your member benefits and have these simple single sign-ons. And I love it. Megan is like, and it was a great training. So I really appreciate that, Megan.
Yeah, and I appreciate that perspective, because for somebody who didn't do grant writing, right? Like, I think that it's really powerful to have that. But with a lot of us as organizations that are constantly looking for new resources and more resources, right? Especially human resources, a lot of times we really have to lean on our board of directors. And so having a space for them to be able to come to and say, hey, I know that I don't have the time as the executive director of the organization to really dig into this like I want to, but you've expressed interest in this. Maybe you're on the fundraising committee. Please dig into Foundation Directory and GrantStation. It's absolutely awesome. So GrantStation is the how to find the opportunities, right? So if Foundation Directory allows you to go deep with a particular funder, think of GrantStation as showing you all of the options that you may have for your organization. So if you go to find grant makers, you'll see that there's a drop down little caret there. And so what it does is it separates by the type of funder, right? So is this a government grant? And so if that's the case, you're going to see federal grants, you're going to see state grants. And so those are kind of separated out. And then you have U.S. Charitable. U.S. Charitable is going to be probably what most people think about when it comes to most of the type of funders, right? So you think of, the Kauffman Foundation falls under there. You think of those sorts of organizations, that we know here in the Kansas City area are typically going to fall under the U.S. Charitable, that section right there. So if you can scroll down just a little bit, Emily, I want to show our audience how they can go about really finding all the types of opportunities. And so you'll see that there's two major areas. You have areas of interest, as you can see there that Emily's hovering over. So those areas of interest are going to be, well, what's the kind of the mission? What is your organization aligned with? Who do you serve? Okay. And so all of those different options are going to be under your areas of interest. Now, above that, you have geographic scope. So the geographic scope is going to tell you, okay, well, we know all the funders that fund the arts in America, but who funds in my particular area? Because I'm here in Kansas or Missouri or wherever you may be, who funds in the area that I operate in? So that's where you'll find the geographic scope. So Emily, just for example, let's click arts, culture, and humanities. And let's just click that top one, arts, culture, and humanities in general. So now, like I mentioned, we see all the various organizations, and it is a lot of pages, 3,500 plus results on foundations and funders that fund the arts, right? So that's across America. But that doesn't do me any good if they only fund like this top one, 21st Century, and their emphasis is on New York City. Well, I don't operate out of New York City, so that one doesn't really serve my needs. But how about this? Let's go to the geographic scope and let's select the state grant makers and just alphabetically, let's go to Kansas. And let's click on the organizations that fund the arts, that fund organizations in Kansas. And now we're down to 111, right? So now we can start really focusing in on the types of foundations and grant opportunities. And then we can use Foundation Directory to see how we want to engage those particular ones. But let's start with this top one, Aldi Cares Community Grants. So if we click on that, we'll see more information about this particular grant opportunity, Aldi Cares Community Grants. So you'll see all the information they have. So if you scroll back up just a little bit, you'll see in this second kind of paragraph, the focus is on nonprofit organizations that make a positive impact on the following issues: children's health and wellness, food insecurity, diversity and inclusion. But then you go down to the next one and it says funded organizations may support children through education, arts, athletics, etc. So that's why this appeared in the arts section, right? When you look at those 3 bullet points, it doesn't call out arts. But if you just read just a little bit more, it's like, oh, okay, well, if you have an organization that supports children through the arts, now all of a sudden that might be an opportunity that might be up your alley. So you scroll down, you'll have more information about this particular grant opportunity. It tells you who they do not fund. And so sometimes it's good to know who, just as important to know what they do fund as it is to know what they don't fund, to make sure you're not wasting your time. The application procedures are going to be up underneath there. So it's going to show you how to go about accessing that. So you'll have that as well. And then on the right-hand side, it's going to show you all the information. So where they fund, the typical grant range. So you'll see that their grant range is $100,000 to $5,000. So all of a sudden, just like the other one didn't start into $5,000, this one doesn't fund anything over $5,000. Once again, we have to know what the criteria is so we can make sure that we align correctly with that particular fund. And if you scroll up, Emily, you'll see that there's that visit website page. So if you was to click that, what we worked on gave you the basic information. Now you have to go to the particular website to find out how to apply for these individual grants. And so as you can see, this is all the information about eligibility, the grant program itself, how you find the division that you're located in, and then finally, how do you apply? All right. So as you can see, we started very big and broad. We started at the arts. Then we got down to the particular state and geographic area. Then we found one that made sense. And now we're applying for that individual grant on that particular website. Okay. So that's the power of Grant Station as a whole. But I want to go back to this page, the start page, because I want to show you on that left-hand task, kind of that column, you see dashboard, and you see the save function up underneath. Well, guess what? Sometimes I don't have time to dig individually into each opportunity. And so I might just need to see, okay, this might be an opportunity. So I'm just going to save it. I'm going to save it and I'm going to review it later. And so I think that's a great access and benefit to GrantStation as well, is that it allows you to just kind of, warehouse some potential opportunities by just clicking that save button. And then when you go into the My Dashboard up top, you click that there and you go to Save Grant Makers. Now all of a sudden, the opportunities that you have saved appear here up underneath your dashboard. And so once again, I just think it's an incredibly powerful, robust tool. We literally are just kind of scratching the surface. And so as Emily mentioned, there's an hour-long deep dive in both Foundation Directory and GrantStation, but we wanted to give you a really good overview of both. Emily, you got anything else that you can think of when it comes to either GrantStation or Foundation Directory?
Yeah, I just have two more things on GrantStation
Okay.
here. What I really like about this dashboard is it can help you keep track of those deadlines, which is always important. And the other thing that I'll share is with GrantStation, they do have a lot of resources to teach you how to be a grant writer. I know I was a grant writer for water.org, which is a large international development nonprofit. And I learned a lot of my skills through GrantStation.
Wow.
So under the right proposals, you can actually read some award-winning proposals. You can get really good support on how to get started. Their online education, I think, is incredibly high quality. You can attend live webinars. Some of them are paid. A lot of them are free. Their recorded webinars are almost always all free. And their online courses usually have a price attached to them. So I haven't done those, but I have learned a lot just from the free recorded stuff. And as a nonprofit Connect member, you get access to GrantStation. So you also get access to those additional grant trainings and samples of what does an award-winning proposal look like these days, because things change. So definitely a great resource.
I love that. Thank you so much, Emily. Yeah, again, that perspective from that grant writing perspective is just so awesome. So thank you for that. So we're back to the Member Information Center, right? So I want to go to that final option there, Emily, the member badge. So what you'll see here is just a way for you to be able to call out that you are a proud member of Nonprofit Connect. So some may ask, well, why, right? Well, sometimes as a new nonprofit or maybe a lesser well-known nonprofit, sometimes we're able to kind of confer a little bit of that credibility and kind of that, that network building piece by showing our affiliation with, long-standing, well-respected organizations. And so being that we're approaching 50 years, we're well-known, especially regionally here in the Kansas City metropolitan area and kind of the 3 and 4 state area. A lot of people know Nonprofit Connect. And so through your membership, we want you to be able to put that on your website and say, hey, I'm a proud member. That shows that I invest in myself. I invest in our organization. The education that we offer is known across the area. And so just those are some of the things that you can put on your website, and it allows for individuals to know that, hey, they're a Nonprofit Connect member.
Right. Just like at Nonprofit Connect, we are a member of the National Council of Nonprofits, which is all the nonprofit connects across the country. And we're really proud of that. That shows that we're connected. It shows that we're looking at best practices across the country, and having a little seal like that on your website, just as Sydney says, it proves that your organization cares about doing well and investing in your people and really staying up to date with what's going on in the world.
Awesome. So for the sake of time, let's take a look at another big piece of membership, and that's the job posting. So that left-hand taskbar, we clicked on that. Now we're in job postings. And so this shows you how to go about adding a job posting. We try to make it as easy as possible with a great template, so you're able to kind of fill in these fields, the title that you're seeking, the information about the job description itself. All of these information is kind of, how do you categorize it, right? Are you, what are you looking to seek an individual in, right? Is it accounting and bookkeeping? Okay, let's select that. Is it a full-time position? Okay, we're going to select that. The salary range. I just want to take a quick moment to show, just to talk about how important salary range is. Emily helped bring this to my attention, but it really is an equity issue, right? You think about, those that have been most disproportionately affected by organizations not being transparent with their salary ranges is women, people of color, individuals who typically don't have the network to know, okay, so what is the market for this particular job? For individuals that's coming new into the nonprofit sector, right? They want to be able to know, well, what does a position like this pay? Because I might not have had an equivalent like that in the for-profit sector. And so having though that information, that salary range, and with the job market being as tight as it is, just from a click-through rate, I'm telling you, it is important for applicants to be able to see, okay, how much is this organization paying? Because unfortunately, if you don't have that information, it's easy for them to maybe make the assumption that they're trying to hide something, right? And so you can select multiple salary ranges. And so if it's a wide range, let's say it's 30,000 to 74,000, right? Well, you can click multiple ones. You can click one if it falls into that range. But just something that I like to really, I try to make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck for your job posting listings. And the more information that you have, the better your click rate, the better your open rate. And the more applicants you have, hopefully that leads to a great hire that can do incredible work out there in the community. All right, wanted to talk a little bit about the date range. So our job postings go from Sunday through Saturday, okay? Now today's Tuesday, so you can absolutely post a job posting for today, but you missed out on Sunday and Monday because we only run from Sunday through Saturday, okay? So, and there isn't any prorating for a partial week. So I always like to be transparent upfront with that. So maybe that first week, maybe you have a partial week because you didn't get to it. But, you know, if you know you wanna have that posted for at least a couple more weeks, we always encourage you to set up your job posting at the end of the week for the following week, so you get full exposure from Sunday through Saturday. So wanted to put that information there. Image, right? So a logo, once again, just kind of eye candy for the applicant. Want to make sure that we have the organization's logo. It just looks better to have your logo amongst other logos as opposed to not having it. And what I want to do, Emily, can you go to the front facing? Oh, perfect. You already got it pulled up here almost. So this is what the public sees when they're going, or applicant sees when they're going to go to look for an opportunity, right? You see how those logos just, they jump out on the page, they kind of invite you in. And so you might want to learn a little bit more. But then there's going to be some times where organizations may not have a logo, right? So it just doesn't pop off the screen like some of the other ones do. So we just always try to encourage you as much as you possibly can, fill out that information, have your beautiful logo if you have one. It just turns into more clicks and more applicants typically. All right, Emily, we're going to hop out of this and we're going to go into volunteer opportunities. Unless, is there something you were seeing here, Emily? Are you good? Okay, all right. So volunteer opportunities. So we know that a lifeblood for a lot of organizations is the human resources they get through volunteers. And so as you're looking for add a volunteer opportunity, we talked a lot through the polling that a lot of people are interested in being able to post various events, and you might be seeking volunteers for those events. And so this is how you would go about creating that particular that heading for you to be able to recruit an event volunteer. So you'll select the category, go through the description, you know, blow up those balloons, you know, all the good stuff, and be able to put all your descriptive language in there. Much like a job posting, you'll be able to enter all this information. Now, I want to go back real quick, not from this page, but just to kind of touch on job postings. Job postings after January 1 of 2023 will be $45 for members and up to $85 for non-members. Right now, through the end of this year, so the end of 2022, we're sitting at $35 for members and $75 for non-members per week per posting. So just wanted to put that out there that the job postings do have a fee associated with it per week. Not much in comparison to the other competitors out there, but wanted to put that out there. But volunteer opportunities and board postings are absolutely free. So you can enter all of this information seeking a volunteer or seeking board members, and you'll be able to enter all this information and be able to seek that for free if you're a member of Nonprofit Connect.
And those volunteer postings are just under jobs on our website. So you can see the
Awesome.
board positions or volunteer opportunities as well.
Very good, very good. All right. So in the sake of time, let's continue to trudge forward. So you have other things on the left-hand side. I won't get into them. News releases is exactly what it sounds right. Like if you have a press release, you're looking to get some eyes on that about something big happening within the organization, you can put your news release there. We'll approve it. We'll review it, approve it, and then be able to put it out there for others to see. The marketplace is what you would think about, things if you're looking to, have some RFPs. So as you can see, there's a couple open RFPs. So Swope Ridge Foundation has an RFP that expires on December 15th. Looks like McGowan has requests for proposals. So those are where you will put those things in marketplace. And once again, those are free to post. So feel free to take advantage of those as well. All right, let's go across the top. So we click the home page. And so we're back at the beginning. And I want to go through a couple of things that I love. Let's go to events, Emily, because I know a lot of people have that in their polling. So this is how you will go about searching events. As you can see, we have a search bar there that has date ranges. And so you're seeing everything from today's date through essentially 2 months from now, right? 60 days from now. And so you'll see all the things coming up. You can customize that for a particular date range as you choose. You can do the calendar view if you don't like the list view. You can always do the calendar view. And so it just shows you what's upcoming. But as you can see, it's not just Nonprofit Connect events, it's other people's events as well, right? So the Kansas City Ballet Guild is presenting the Nutcrackers that time of year. So you'll have the information there. Transfer pricing issues for tax-exempt organizations in a post-tax reform world. That's a mouthful. But if that's something that you're interested in, it's there Tuesday, December 6th. So just be able to put your information there. And how you would do that is you just scroll up to the top, you'll click the add event opportunity, and then you will be able to fill out all the information. Again, we make it templated. We try to make it easy for you to be able to put that information in there and have it to where it can appear easily for others to find. All right. We go back to the home. Oh, you know what? Let's go to the resources since we're up at the top. So this might be my favorite part of the membership. And what this is all the resources that we have gathered over the years, decades sometimes, for us to be able to gather information that will be a resource for our members. And so as you can see on the left-hand side, you have a lot of categories. And so we know that fundraising was a big thing for a number of individuals, rightfully so. So if you was to click that, Emily, what it does is it whittles down that massive, all of the resources into just the resources that focuses on fundraising. And so you can see that, there's, various file types. So you'll see that there's PDFs. You'll find as you continue to scroll and go through the pages that there's pre-recorded webinars. All of that information is contained here within. And so, we have something about donor advised funds, right, through the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation, right? So just all of this information about things that you may have heard about, but it's kind of difficult to find out there in the Google sphere and all of those things, right? We kind of have a curated list here available. And I think Emily mentioned at the beginning, like she loves to help organizations find the information that they need. So by chance, if you're looking for something specific and you're not seeing it here in the categories, if you click the search bar up the top and you click enter the information and nothing's coming up, then please reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to try to help get you the information and the resources that you need to be able to serve the populations that you serve.
Yeah,
Anything
just
else
to
you can think
echo
about?
Sydney.
Yeah, Emily, go ahead.
I know it's my job to get to maintain this. So if you ever find anything that's broken or a link isn't working, or as Sydney said, you're looking for something and you don't see a resource, definitely reach out and let me know, because I sometimes have other hidden resources that I'm not able to publicly post. Or if it's broken, then I definitely need to go in and fix it. So I really appreciate feedback like that at any time. And as Sydney said, this search bar is really robust. So if you're looking for something specific, maybe like succession planning, right? That might be something your organization is trying to figure out for. You can find those specific resources on succession planning or whatever it happens to be. We have a lot of resources on here. So even if you want to look at that foundation directory tour, right? Because you're like, oh, Amy said in the chat that that was really good. Great. If you don't want to wait for me to email it out, you can go and find it in here. So that's definitely a really good place to find resources in the resources folder.
I love it. Thank you, Emily. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's the time goes by so quick, but there really is a lot of resources at your fingertips. We take pride in being probably one of the better ones across the nation when it comes to, you know, kind of on-demand resources that you can go find yourself and be able to put into usage and practice immediately. So once again, as Emily mentioned, please give us feedback on this. If there's some things that's out of date, you know, information that isn't applicable anymore, please let us know. But, you know, we try to make sure that we have something there for everybody that they can utilize as they need to. All right, Emily. So I feel like we did a pretty good synopsis of this. So how about let's go to the homepage and let's go through kind of the front facing. So everybody has access to this. This is our website. So as we talked about, you have the Career Center. You're able to post your jobs, volunteer opportunities, board positions, etc. You have your programs. So you have your programs calendar, all the various areas and kind of subsections under programming. You have events. So you have your Philly Awards, award celebration, and today, Giving Tuesday, which is a pretty big deal. We have such a kind of a giving and philanthropic community here in Kansas City that is kind of a big deal for us. And so as you can see, we have the ability for anybody in the public to browse nonprofit organizations. So once again, having your profile fully filled out as much as you can does well for those individuals that may be looking for a new organization or organization that fits a certain category that they like to fund in. That's where they will go. You would see if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see these Giving Tuesday results, this infographic. So the last time we did this was 2019. Obviously 2020 and 2021 brought what it brought when it came with COVID. So we didn't focus on these areas. We really put a lot more resources into making sure that individuals were able to navigate this new world of COVID. But we're going back to this year, so we're excited. It went live today, I believe. And so we're asking everybody to take the Giving Tuesday survey. I think it's a series of maybe 6-7 questions, so it isn't long to fill out at all. But what we ask is that you put that information in. What it does is we're able to tell the story of the sector as a whole, right? Just like you could tell the story for your individual nonprofit organization if a news outlet called in. We get calls for news outlets asking about kind of the health of the sector, what's going on, what should individuals looking to donate, what should they be on the lookout for? And so, for example, our marketing manager, Colin, had 3 interviews yesterday with local and regional news outlets about Giving Tuesday. I think he already had one this morning. He was on radio. Like, it's been a lot going on. But the information that we were able to provide was 2019's information. And so we're just excited to be able to give updated information next year about how 2022's Giving Tuesday has turned out for everybody. So again, we encourage you all to take that survey. Shouldn't take long at all, but definitely the information that we can combine and aggregate would be beneficial to the sector as a whole moving forward. All right, so resources. You see all the different things, DEI, coronavirus, the impact report, all of those are things, advocacy, all of those are resources that we provide. If you go to membership, you will see that there's your member directory and specific information about your type of membership. So if you're a nonprofit organization versus a business organization, what do your benefits look like? Well, you come here to the website, you'll be able to find all of that information. And it's going to outline all the things that you have, right? So it's talking about GrantStation and Foundation Directory. It's talking about the various programs that we have to offer educationally. And it's going to give you your dues breakdown at the bottom. So you'll know as your organization grows, you'll see kind of what those annual membership dues look like from year to year. And last but not least, you got the About Us tab over there. And basically it's just all the information about us. It tells about our impact and our history, our board of directors, our financials, our staff. We just try to be as transparent as we possibly can. So that's what you will find on our website. I'm looking at the clock and the time has gone by extremely fast. It is 12:59, Emily. Is there anything that we want to touch on before we get our attendees back to their days?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much, Sydney. You covered a lot and there's even more. So if you ever have questions, do let us know. And I see there's a question in the chat. We do these membership orientations on a quarterly basis, but also if you ever want us to come to your staff meeting and do it for a whole organization, we've definitely done that. And we're able to answer questions at any time. So these membership orientations happen at least once a quarter, and Amy is just getting up to speed, but she'll be your go-to resource. And in the meanwhile, Sydney is here. So It is almost 1 o'clock. So this is the end of our official orientation, but we'll keep the meeting open just for a few minutes in case there are other questions or concerns.